Democracy dies in darkness. It's a saying popularized by Washington Post investigative journalist Bob Woodward and later adopted by the paper as the slogan beneath its masthead. I've always liked to think about journalism as a light you shine on what happens in dark places. As newspapers moved from the printing press to the website post, subscriptions and advertising revenue became less reliable. Some newspapers closed up shop, and many of America's small towns were left in the dark, without coverage, also called by some news deserts.
On this spot near I-95 and St. Lucie West Boulevard in Port St. Lucie used to sit the Treasure Coast newspaper's printing and packaging facility. It was sold in 2023.
The facility used to be the home of 3 newspapers, the St. Lucie Tribune, the Stewart News, and the Indian River Press Journal. Now the county has no physically printed daily or weekly newspapers, and the closest TV stations are in West Palm Beach, 50 miles away. St. Lucie County is not alone. On a map compiled by the University of North Carolina Hussman School of Journalism, you'll also find Martin County, one county to the south. You'll find 4 other counties in Florida, and you'll find 200 such counties nationwide. But small communities similar to these are finding a renaissance of coverage from TV news.
Connecting neighborhoods across the Big Bend in South Georgia.
In recent years, Fox 4 in Fort Myers, Florida, and ABC 27 in Tallahassee, Florida, both owned by Scripps, have switched news formats to feature reporters covering geographic beats.
Setting people out there. Like, we have cities in our DMA that are an hour and a half away, and having the neighborhood model allows someone to be based there always 24/7. And it allows more stories, better stories, probably scoops out there that other stations aren't getting because someone's out there every day.
We have a brand new reporter in downtown Fort Myers. She was done reporting for the day on the 4th of July, and she had some city commissioners actually call her. She's been in the market a month. She had city commissioners call her and say, hey, where are you? You want to come out and watch the fireworks with us?
Reporters join the communities they cover, signing up for local online discussion forums, living there when they can, and often volunteering for nonprofits in the community.
I volunteer at the animal shelter, so a lot of people know me from there. So, being involved in the community more so than if I was living in Fort Myers and reporting in Charlotte County.
Tallahassee's WTXL was the first to adopt the new format in the summer of 2023, quickly deciding only to require 4 stories in a 5-day work week.
The reason why we felt it was important that our reporters were given what we call a work day is because that we know that it takes time to set up quality stories.
I would say that I've gotten to know people a lot better in my area than I had previously.
I'm editing at Gilchrist Park every day, and people walk by my car and see me. Like, a lot of people know who I am just from me being there.
2 miles of road, a few blocks here and there that I would consider my neighborhood. And it allows people to know me better than they know reporters from other stations.
With newscasts no longer featuring news anchors, there are more reporters who are also being asked to do more.
When you take the anchors off the desk and you put more reporters in the field, that is just going to be the most impactful coverage you can provide any neighborhood.
WFTX in Fort Myers, on the other hand, sometimes uses its whole news studio on busier news days.
What is the difference between the way that this newsroom operates and the one in Tallahassee?
The difference between them is the speed and volume of news in this market. Our team really has to be ready to pivot if there's something breaking and a lot of information is coming in quickly. They have to be able to pivot between the live traditional model and also the recorded model.
The reporters are now closer to the people they cover, and not just geographically.
Because I live in Punta Gorda, so I can say that in my scripts. I am affected by any of the government changes that would affect anybody else living in Punta Gorda the same way as, anybody that I would be interviewing. So I kind of already have that relationship built with them.
To reach out to my contacts to see how they're doing, what's going on in their neighborhood, what are they up to this weekend, to kind of get a feel for what the people in that area care about and kind of connect with their friends even.
Often beginning the newscast from the field and tossing to each other with limited live studio segments other than the weather.
Cluster of thunderstorms up here that is slowly working its way southward.
The reason we make weather live is it's an integrity thing. Weather also changes by the second. And so if we're broadcasting something that's out of date, that might leave someone in a dangerous situation if a thunderstorm is moving in.
I've worked here almost now for a year and a half. I was here for 4 months. under a more traditional format where we had anchors, live shots every day, things of that nature. Since we don't have an anchor and you can't just throw up boxes, we kind of have to edit accordingly to make sure the video behind us matches well with the way we're formatted in the window.
Being a community reporter allows me to get to know folks a little better than if I were in the south side of town one day and then in a suburb 45 minutes away from here another day.
ABC 27's neighborhood reporters and Fox 4's community correspondents also shoot alternate endings and beginnings to accommodate different potential places in different newscasts.
While it has definitely been different, it's been very well received in our market, and it's been what has afforded us the opportunity to have so many reporters out in the field.
If this formula for covering these undercovered communities is universal, then you'd be able to find 4 stories a week in other such communities. So I gave it a try.
Reporting in Florida City, in Florida City, in Florida City.
Mainland Florida's southernmost city is just far enough from Miami that it's usually the crime stories drawing coverage. So in February 2024, I set out in search of 4 news stories every 7 days. In week 1, I cover a street naming for an agricultural icon who was once the city's top employer, a feature story about the city's unofficial nickname, a dying tree being removed ahead of a wind advisory, and the release of body cam video showing an officer being hit by a car. In week 2, I cover the celebration of the mayor's 40th year in office, a restaurant preparing for Ash Wednesday and Valentine's Day at the same time, a community trash cleanup, and a Red Cross smoke detector giveaway. In week 3, I do a feature on President's Day weekend shopping, a proposed City Hall internship program for high schoolers, an annual festival in memory of a teenage shooting victim, and the proposed moving of the city's Pioneer Museum. In the 4th and final week, I cover a mobile van bringing access to medicine to migrant workers, the mystery of a limestone cottage on the grounds of City Hall, the origin of the city's popular fruit stand business, and the swearing in of the city's commissioner, along with an update to revitalize the city's downtown. Of these 16 stories, only one, the dashcam story, attracted the attention of the network affiliates in Miami. I found out what leaders at these 2 stations already knew. Driving distance plays a role in story selection.
Valdosta, Georgia is actually our 2nd largest city in our DMA, so you would think we would be there every day. We were not, because it is an hour-and-a-half drive to that city.
It's really about building relationships, being seen, coming and going, and really getting to know the people you're reporting on.
Management at these 2 Florida TV stations have realized that each year, more and more of their viewers will encounter a story for the first time on a phone or a computer, not on their television. But instead of this trend driving them out of small towns, it's having the opposite effect.
Wakulla County Fire Rescue
and pushing them back in.
Giving a voice to those communities where they don't get news coverage. You know, there are a lot of news deserts right now. By having those reporters that are able to go to those smaller communities, we are filling that void.